In a dramatic and unexpected move, Apple has announced that it will be withdrawing its Advanced Data Protection (ADP) feature for iCloud from the United Kingdom, a decision that has sparked outrage among users, privacy advocates, and legal experts alike. This unprecedented move follows a bitter dispute between Apple and the UK Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, who has been widely accused of undermining the digital privacy of millions of iPhone users. The origins of the controversy: Apple versus the UK government. The dispute began when the Home Office issued a Secret Technical Capability Notice, TCN, to Apple, compelling the tech giant to create a backdoor that would allow the UK government to bypass encryption measures in iCloud, citing national security concerns. Under the Investigatory Powers Act 2016, often referred to as the Snoopers Charter, the UK government has the legal authority to demand such compliance from tech companies. Apple, however, has long resisted such demands, maintaining that any deliberate weakening of encryption would not only compromise user security but also set a dangerous precedent for government overreach. Instead of complying with the request, Apple made the unprecedented decision to withdraw ADP entirely from the UK, effectively stripping British users of one of the strongest data protection measures available. Did you know that over 95% of our viewers aren't subscribed to the channel? We totally get it, life gets busy, and sometimes it's easy to forget. But here's the thing, subscribing is completely free, and it really helps us keep creating the content you enjoy. So, why not hit that subscribe button and join our community? It only takes a second, but it makes a world of difference to us. Thank you for your support. Public outrage and mass protests. The decision has triggered an explosive reaction across the UK, with furious Apple users organizing protests outside the Home Office headquarters in Westminster. Protesters chanted slogans condemning Cooper's actions as an assault on digital privacy, with some carrying placards accusing her of selling out UK citizens to mass surveillance, while others called for her immediate resignation. The backlash was not limited to the streets. Social media platforms were flooded with posts from outraged users, many of whom accused the government of treating the UK as a surveillance state. The hashtag #CooperResign quickly began trending on X, formerly Twitter, with thousands demanding an official parliamentary inquiry into the government's handling of digital rights. Political fallout: pressure mounts on Cooper. Inside Parliament, Cooper faced an intense grilling from MPs across party lines, with many accusing her of recklessly jeopardizing national cybersecurity. Some MPs warned that weakening encryption could expose government agencies, businesses, and individuals to cyberattacks, highlighting the fact that many organizations rely on Apple's security infrastructure to safeguard sensitive data. Reports from Whitehall suggest that Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is deeply concerned about the growing crisis, with senior government officials privately urging Cooper to resign in a bid to contain the fallout. With legal action mounting and public anger reaching boiling point, political analysts speculate that Cooper may struggle to retain her position in the coming weeks. Legal battles: class action lawsuits against Apple and the government. The legal ramifications of this controversy have been swift and severe. Multiple class action lawsuits have already been filed against both the UK government and Apple, with plaintiffs arguing that the removal of ADP violates consumer rights. Privacy advocacy groups, including Big Brother Watch and Privacy International, have thrown their full support behind these legal challenges, with several high-profile lawyers now representing UK citizens who feel their digital rights have been unlawfully stripped away. Legal experts claim that these lawsuits could set a groundbreaking precedent for privacy laws in the UK, especially as some cases accuse the government of colluding with Apple to downgrade encryption protections under the guise of national security. Matthew Funny, a representative from Big Brother Watch, condemned the Home Office's actions, stating, "Apple's decision is an unfortunate but predictable response to government overreach. UK users are now less secure than before, all because of a misguided attempt to gain more surveillance powers." International reaction and Elon Musk's involvement. The controversy has not only dominated headlines in the UK but has also sparked international concern over digital privacy rights. Tech experts and security analysts worldwide have criticized the UK government's approach, warning that such actions could encourage other governments to pursue similar measures. Even billionaire Elon Musk weighed in on the matter, posting on X that similar encryption backdoors would have been implemented in the United States if Donald Trump had not won the last election. This comment only served to further inflame tensions, with many UK citizens accusing their government of turning the country into a surveillance state while other nations continue to uphold digital privacy rights. What this means for UK Apple users. As of 3 p.m. on Friday, UK users attempting to enable advanced data protection on their iCloud accounts received notifications stating that the feature was no longer available in the country. Existing users were given a limited period to disable ADP before their backups were automatically downgraded to a weaker security level. Many Apple customers have described this as digital theft, arguing that they purchased Apple devices with the expectation of top-tier security features, only to have them removed due to government interference. Several affected users have launched petitions demanding government accountability, while others are exploring further legal avenues. Apple stands firm on encryption integrity. Although legally restricted from commenting directly on the secret government order, Apple has made it clear that it will not compromise encryption. The company has repeatedly warned that it would rather withdraw security features entirely than create any form of backdoor access, and this latest action demonstrates that it is willing to stand by that principle, even at the cost of upsetting its UK customer base. This marks the first time Apple has followed through on such a warning, and privacy experts believe it could signal more resistance from tech companies against government-mandated surveillance measures in the future. What's next? The future of digital privacy in the UK. With lawsuits, political scrutiny, and widespread public outrage, this controversy is far from over. Many experts believe this case will shape the future of digital privacy laws in the UK, potentially forcing Parliament to reconsider some of its most controversial surveillance policies. The key questions remain. Will the UK government backtrack on its demands for encryption backdoors? Could other tech giants follow Apple's lead and withdraw certain security features from the UK? How will this impact the global debate over the balance between national security and individual privacy? For now, one thing is clear: millions of UK Apple users have lost one of the most advanced security features available, and the fight for digital privacy is only just beginning. The escalating battle between the UK government and major technology firms over end-to-end encryption has reached new levels of tension, with Apple's decision to withdraw Advanced Data Protection (ADP) for iCloud in the UK serving as a landmark moment in the ongoing debate over digital privacy and national security. Government officials, particularly within the Home Office, argue that robust encryption measures obstruct law enforcement's ability to track criminals, detect threats, and prevent cybercrime. They claim that terrorist organizations, child exploitation networks, and cybercriminals have exploited encrypted services to hide illicit activities from authorities. On the other side of the argument, privacy advocates, security researchers, and tech firms assert that any attempt to weaken encryption compromises cybersecurity for everyone. Creating a backdoor for law enforcement, they argue, inevitably creates vulnerabilities that hackers and foreign adversaries could exploit, putting personal data, financial transactions, and even government secrets at risk. Apple's decision to withdraw ADP in the UK. Apple's Advanced Data Protection, ADP, provides users with end-to-end encryption for iCloud backups, meaning only the user can access their data, not even Apple can decrypt it. However, in response to the UK Home Office's Secret Technical Capability Notice, TCN, a legally binding request compelling Apple to create a backdoor for government access, the company chose not to comply. Instead of introducing a vulnerability that could compromise global user security, Apple opted to remove ADP entirely for UK users. This move is particularly significant because it sets a precedent for how tech companies might push back against government demands for access to private data. Rather than creating country-specific backdoors, Apple has demonstrated a willingness to disable features in regions with excessive government interference, a decision that could potentially influence how other nations approach encryption laws. Does disabling ADP exempt Apple from compliance? While removing advanced data protection from the UK technically means that law enforcement could access less secure iCloud backups without requiring Apple's cooperation, it does not necessarily exempt Apple from future government orders. Legal experts argue that if the UK government still sought access to the iCloud data of a UK-based individual, Apple could still be forced to comply under the Investigatory Powers Act 2016. This raises concerns that the company may still be required to provide access to UK user data, particularly in cases involving national security or criminal investigations. Public backlash, protests, lawsuits, and digital activism. The announcement of Apple's decision sparked outrage among privacy advocates, technology experts, and UK Apple users. Mass protests and political unrest. Almost immediately after the decision was made public, demonstrators gathered outside the Home Office headquarters in Westminster, waving signs that read, "Privacy is a right, not a privilege. Hands off our encryption. Cooper must go." The protests, described as some of the largest digital rights demonstrations in UK history, saw tech experts, lawyers, and MPs from multiple parties expressing opposition to government overreach. Even members of Cooper's own party expressed unease about the decision, fearing that it could backfire politically by alienating tech-savvy younger voters and eroding trust in the government's approach to cybersecurity. Lawsuits and legal challenges. Within days of Apple's announcement, multiple class action lawsuits were launched against both the UK government and Apple. The lawsuits argue that removing ADP violates consumer rights, as Apple customers purchase devices with the expectation of strong encryption. The government is acting unlawfully, as the Investigatory Powers Act surveillance provisions may exceed legal limits set by international human rights agreements. Users should have the right to encryption, and forcing companies to weaken security creates a dangerous precedent for global surveillance policies. Legal organizations such as Privacy International, Open Rights Group, and Big Brother Watch have pledged full support for the lawsuits, with some crowdfunding legal fees to challenge the Home Office's demands in court. Social media mobilization and Elon Musk's reaction. Across social media platforms, UK citizens rallied against the government's actions. Hashtags such as #CooperResign and #SaveOurPrivacy began trending on X, formerly Twitter, with many calling for a full parliamentary inquiry into the government's approach to digital surveillance. Elon Musk also joined the discussion, posting on X that the UK is setting a dangerous precedent for digital rights across the world. He further suggested that similar measures would have been imposed in the US had Donald Trump not won the last election, further fueling the controversy. Cooper's resignation, a political fallout. As legal and political pressures mounted, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper found herself increasingly isolated within her own party. MPs from both Labour and Conservative parties criticised her handling of the crisis, with some arguing that she had failed to anticipate the public's outrage. By Monday morning, Cooper announced her resignation, stating, "I have always acted in the interest of national security, but the opposition to these measures has made it impossible for me to continue in my role." Her resignation was celebrated by privacy advocates, who called it a landmark victory for digital rights. Many saw her departure as a warning to future officials that interfering with encryption policies would not be tolerated. Apple's response, a commitment to encryption. Apple responded to the controversy with deep disappointment, reaffirming that it would never create a backdoor into its encryption services. A spokesperson for Apple stated, "We remain committed to protecting our users' data. Encryption is more important than ever in an era where cyber threats continue to grow. We hope to find a resolution that allows us to restore these protections in the UK." Despite Apple's reassurances, many UK citizens remain skeptical, fearing that the government may still attempt to force further compromises on encryption in the future. What's next? The future of UK digital privacy laws. With the resignation of Cooper, many are wondering what the next steps will be for UK encryption policies. Several key questions remain unanswered. Will the UK government reverse its position on encryption, or will it push even harder for backdoor access? Could other tech companies follow Apple's lead and withdraw security features from UK users? How will international governments respond to Apple's defiance of government orders? What is certain is that this battle is far from over. The debate over encryption is now at the forefront of global discussions on privacy, security, and government surveillance. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is clear. The fight for digital privacy in the UK is only just beginning.